Today is Monday, November 3rd. What to know about the government shutdown reaching its second month and how judges are intervening as millions of Americans try to figure out how to make ends meet. Also, where President Trump could be sending the U.S. military next. Plus, a new warning over fluoride supplements, a wild finale to the Major League Baseball season, and where Black Friday sales have already started. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We're now entering week 6 of the federal government shutdown, and still Congress is deadlocked. Democratic leaders still insist they need negotiations on health care before they can vote to reopen the government. Republican leaders still say they won't commit until the government is reopened. So with that, tens of millions of Americans are set to lose government assistance they usually depend on to eat, heat their homes, or take care of their kids while they work. 2 federal judges did say the Trump administration will have to tap into emergency funds to at least partly cover SNAP, aka food stamp benefits, for the month. One of those judges gave Trump until today to tell her if the benefits were authorized. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says SNAP food benefits could restart as soon as Wednesday. Still, the impact of the shutdown can already be seen all around the country. Nearly 1.5 million federal employees have missed at least one full paycheck, and there have been long lines at food banks. In fact, over the weekend in Texas and California, stadium parking lots were converted into mass distribution sites for families to pick up boxes of produce, frozen meat, and other household staples. Staffing shortages at airports are also growing, so ground stops and delays have been issued in several airports around the country. If lawmakers don't find a way to reopen the government by Wednesday, this will become the longest shutdown in American history. President Trump is defending his administration's immigration raids as criticism grows over confrontations between federal agents, immigrants, and protesters. When he was asked about tactics like throwing people to the ground, smashing car windows, and using tear gas in residential neighborhoods, Trump told 60 Minutes he actually did not think the raids had gone far enough. He explained that the tactics are acceptable because, quote, you have to get the people out. But Trump also said unless the undocumented immigrants have a criminal record, they'll have the chance to come back to the country legally. This interview came after the Trump administration expanded a federal program that deputizes local police to enforce immigration laws. At last check, nearly 16,000 officers across 40 states had been signed up as an effort to boost deportations. The Department of Homeland Security also says ICE is everywhere, and its immigration crackdown is only expanding. The U.S. military may soon be sent into Africa's most populous country. President Trump told the Pentagon to prepare for action in Nigeria, since he accused the government of failing to protect Christians against Islamist militant groups. He said American troops could go in, as he put it, guns a-blazing, and that he could cut off all aid to the country. Groups monitoring violence say there's actually no evidence to suggest Christians are being killed more than Muslims in Nigeria, and Nigeria's president insists his country is religiously tolerant. For now, Nigerian leaders also say they're not taking President Trump's words literally, but they're encouraging Trump meet with his Nigerian counterpart and share more intelligence with the Nigerian government so it can keep up its own effort to end the violence. To be continued. In the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, communities across the Caribbean are starting to pick up the pieces. Remember, the storm hit Jamaica as one of the strongest hurricanes to make landfall in Atlantic history. It brought catastrophic flooding to several islands in the region. And since then, the death toll has climbed to more than 60 in Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. And that toll could still rise. Right now, authorities say they're still working to recover bodies as well as deliver food and other aid to hurricane survivors. They've been using helicopters to reach areas with impassable roads. But many of the hardest-hit communities still have not been reached. Hospitals, government buildings, and homes have been destroyed. And at last check, hundreds of thousands of people were still without power or telephone service in Jamaica alone. Hurricane Melissa caused an estimated tens of billions of dollars in damage and economic losses. The World Food Programme's Caribbean director gave an update over the weekend saying, quote, the situation on the ground is what can only be described as apocalyptic. The U.S. has sent in disaster relief teams to help local authorities. If you want to help, you're always encouraged to give to reputable organizations like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and World Central Kitchen, just to name a few that are already working to help survivors. The group of oil-producing nations across the world and their allies, together known as OPEC+, have decided to pump more oil. It's just the latest in a series of monthly increases that started back in April, meant to reverse a giant supply cutback in 2023. But this might be the last hike for a while. OPEC+ says it won't be increasing production anymore in the first 3 months of next year, since January to March typically has the weakest demand all year long. Trump has repeatedly asked OPEC+ to bring down global oil prices to make gas prices lower for Americans. But since this latest announcement, oil prices actually edged higher, a trend analysts say could change again. So stay tuned. We have more news for you still ahead, but first, this episode is brought to you by Quince. Every holiday season, I get a bit overwhelmed trying to think of gifts to get and where to get them all. But thanks to Quince, it's actually pretty simple. Quince is truly a one-stop shop for everyone on my list and for myself. I'm already back in my wool half-zip sweater from last year. It's the perfect cozy layer for fall and winter days that still looks polished enough for work or travel. And my washable silk tank, yeah, that's a year-round favorite. For gifts, I keep thinking about the diamond bracelet my friends got me from Quince that I love. It's so delicate and elegant, and I love that it's from a brand that makes quality feel accessible. By working directly with ethical, top-tier factories, Quince skips the middlemen and offers prices 50% less than similar brands. So step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last from Quince. Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Now, back to the news. The Los Angeles Dodgers pulled off a comeback for the ages and cemented their dynasty in the process. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 7 of the World Series, 5-4, after 11 innings. They were actually behind until the very end, so even Dodgers players say they were shocked they had won. Though the Dodgers did have the most star-studded roster in the major leagues. They also had a record-setting payroll of roughly $415 million. But the season hasn't been all easy, with injuries and high expectations. And even during the championship, it took extra innings and epic plays to crank out a win. With that, the Dodgers became the first back-to-back champions in 25 years. And the Los Angeles Times called Saturday's final one of the greatest games this sport has ever seen. Well, President Trump has been facing new criticism over a lavish party he threw at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend, just hours after showing off a renovated White House bathroom, complete with marble, gold faucets, and more. The event's theme was A Little Party Never Killed Nobody, seemingly in reference to the latest movie adaptation of The Great Gatsby, and guests were seen wearing Roaring '20s-era attire. The novel has been celebrated for years for its depiction of wealth and class divisions in the U.S. back then, before the Great Depression hit. Several Democrats noted the symbolism. They criticized Trump for throwing the party while the government is shut down and people are missing paychecks. The response from the White House was that Democrats are the ones who should be focused on reopening the government, saying the shutdown is their fault. Though even some Republicans now say the president should get more involved in negotiating a compromise. Trump is now back at the nation's capital. The FDA has started restricting fluoride supplements. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about fluoride in public water systems. These are supplements you get at the pharmacy. And now the FDA says the products are no longer recommended for children younger than 3 or older kids unless they face serious risks of tooth decay. Before this, the supplements had been prescribed for children as young as 6 months, mostly when they live in rural places where there's not much fluoride in the local drinking water. They come in tablets, lozenges, and drops for babies. But the FDA released a new scientific analysis showing they could be linked to safety concerns like gut issues, weight gain, and more. Though the American Dental Association disputes that, saying there should not be issues when fluoride is used at the levels prescribed by dentists. And they say limiting the supplements will likely mean more cavities and other dental problems in rural communities. Remember, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has also spoken about keeping fluoride from drinking water throughout the U.S., but at this point, the FDA is still in a safety review and public commenting period on the issue. The current head of NASA reaffirmed what historians have already known for decades. American astronauts did, in fact, land on the moon. NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy, felt compelled to set the record straight because Kim Kardashian said on her reality show to millions of viewers that she thought the moon landing had been faked. Of course, Duffy was a reality TV star himself on both The Real World and Road Rules back in the 1990s. But he made it clear the moon landing was even more real than that. Early next year, NASA plans to send astronauts on the Artemis 2 mission that will swing around the moon before returning to Earth. And even though they won't land on the moon this time, they will get closer than anyone has in more than half a century. Duffy invited Kardashian to see the launch herself at the Kennedy Space Center. Well, movie theaters had fewer people than usual this past weekend. Of course, part of the problem was Halloween fell on a Friday this year, so a lot of people were out trick-or-treating instead of going to the movies Friday night. Plus, there was the World Series Game 7 on Saturday night, so the studios avoided opening any major new films. And by the end of the weekend, the box office had only brought in $49 million, and that made it the worst weekend of the entire year. And it closed out the lowest grossing October in nearly 30 years, even though several Oscar contenders came out earlier this month. Last weekend, the top movie at the box office was the romantic drama Regretting You, followed by the horror sequel Black Phone 2. Next weekend could be a different story, though, since more highly anticipated releases are coming, including Predator, Badlands, Nuremberg, and more. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsor. We're all trying to feel healthier, getting our steps in, drinking more water, taking our vitamins. But here's one thing most people miss: liver health. Your liver affects everything, too. Energy, digestion, how your skin looks, even your metabolism. And it's your body's filter, so we want to take care of it. That's why I appreciate Dose for Your Liver. It's a simple 2-ounce shot you drink each day that honestly tastes great. Kind of like fresh squeezed orange juice, so just the kind of thing you want in the morning. My husband and I both really like the taste, and it's easy to stick with that habit of taking it. We like that it's clinically backed with double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing its positive impact on liver enzyme levels. Dose cleanses the liver of unwanted stressors that's slowing your liver down. And it's also got 0 sugar, 0 junk, and 0 calories. So I'm excited for you to try it. Ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dosedaily.co/newsworthy or enter newsworthy to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/newsworthy for 35% off your first month's subscription. Now, back to Money Monday. Well, it's officially Black November. Yep, now that Black Friday sales are no longer limited to just the Friday after Thanksgiving, retailers are spending the whole month offering some deals. And many of the holiday sales have already begun. For example, Amazon has everything from home goods to electronics to clothing on sale. Best Buy is offering hundreds of dollars off TVs, home appliances, and so on. Target has up to 50% off toys, vacuums, clothing, and more. And Walmart has flash deals of up to 90% off. Of course, that's just to name a few of the big ones. Plenty more sales are live now. And some of the best ones are expected to start around Veterans Day. To hear a lot more about how to go about your holiday shopping in a smarter way this year, check out our last special edition Saturday episode, where we got all kinds of advice about how to best prepare for this year's gift-giving season, and even specific tools you can use to find the best discounts. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can get ad-free episodes when you become a Newsworthy Insider. Start your free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.